My name is Mark Tomlinson. I'm based in the Department of Psychology at Stellenbosch University. Our innovation is an intervention to improve infant attachment in sort of very poor peri-urban settlements around Cape Town. That's in the context of very high levels of maternal depression, which also then results in low levels of secure attachment, which we know has big impacts on children and then adults later on. So the money from the Government of Canada allowed us to go and re-enroll a sample that we had previously delivered the intervention to 11 years after the end of the intervention. Our aim, as all the re-enrolled grants in the Saving Brains platform, was to see whether that had an impact on child cognitive development, child socio-emotional development, and a number of other things. What we found, and we weren't too surprised, our early intervention didn't focus on the cognitive development of the infants. It really focused on the mother-infant relationship and really the dance between mothers and infants. It was a bit of a long shot expected that it would impact on cognitive development, and that was the case. So we didn't improve infant cognitive development. But as we've delved into the findings, it does seem as we've got a lot of very interesting findings, both at the genetic level, so that we have a certain group of children who really did benefit enormously from the intervention, while others less so, based on a particular kind of genetic mutation that they had. So that's been an interesting finding. We've also looked at cortisol stress reactivity, which has provided a lot of interesting pointers, mostly for future research that can happen around how early sensitivity between mothers and their infants can help children later on, up to, as in this study 11 years later, buffer the effects of stress. So children who receive the intervention in a stress test at age 13 were much better able to kind of handle a little bit more of that stress and sort of dampen it down, as opposed to children who a good 13 years before received the intervention were much more vulnerable to that stress index. And in the context of where we work in, with high levels of adversity, high levels of violence, high levels of trauma, that the ability to handle stress, handle that sort of adversity, we believe is very important. When the Government of Canada, through Grand Challenges Canada, initiated the Saving Brains re-enrollment platform, that allowed us to then go and re-enroll this incredibly rich cohort and sample of children. And so without this Government of Canada money through Grand Challenges Canada, none of this would have been possible.